Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Today is July 26th, and I'm Dr. Duck Vong. I'm a world famous bariatric surgeon, author of 13 books with a couple more coming. I'm doing coronavirus updates, and this is our new kind coronavirus community. No hype, no conspiracy theories, just real science, real facts, boiled down to a way that you can understand it. So haters can hate, you can move on, you can kick rocks down the road. We're here as a community to try to band together to overcome this. Amen. So if that's you, you're welcome to be here. If that's not you, fuck off. All right. So we're going to talk about kids today. Should schools reopen? What's happening here? Do me a favor, hit share. If you're watching this on the replay, you can fast forward to about the 5-minute mark, and that's when I'll get started. In the meantime, I'll say hello to some people that are here. Kathy Rue, hello. How are you doing? Eileen Fry, good morning. Good morning, Heather Rochelle. Cher, good morning. Heather, I saw you signed up. That's amazing for our group sessions. Kathy Hansborough, good morning. Michelle, all right. Rachel Farley, what's up? How are you doing? Where are you guys calling from? Lisa Jones, occupational therapist. Yeah. Who's worried about opening up schools? Who is worried? What's up, Deborah from Missouri? Ricardo, what's up, buddy? Looking good there. Norma Ramos, good morning. Where are you guys calling from? Hi, Troy Davis. What's up? How's it going, Christina? We got questions coming here. I'll do questions towards the end. I will get started in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Christine Wynn, assistant. What's up? Nan Beavers, what's going on? How are you doing? Northern Virginia. What's up, Stephen Carter? I hope you're staying safe. You guys follow Stephen Carter Hicks right there, man. He is a legend on Broadway. Been in lots of TV, stage productions, been on TV, done concerts. Amazing dude there. Stephen Carter Hicks, singer, actor, singer. Donna Fredericks, great to see you. Spanish Harlem, what's up? Man, these are going by fast. Sorry. New York in the house. So that's YouTube watching there. Thank you very much. Oh, Arizona, good morning. You guys are starting to see a difference. Sharon, we're going to talk about kids and what we're going to do here with our kids. So let's make sure. Here we go. Lisa, I drive a school bus. I'm a bit worried. So hit share for me. Make sure that, let me see. Everybody's on here. This is going to be an important topic. As always, I will edit this down and put it up on my YouTube channel so you can see it on YouTube. I'm going to try to minimize our cursing so that we'll be good there, that you guys can share. This is a very important topic here. So I appreciate that, Patricia. Katie Beth. All right, awesome. Tennessee's in the house. What's up, Meredith? How are you doing? Carrie Smith from Maine. Right. What's up, Carol? All right, Yumiko, Texas is on fire. What's up, Florida? 2 more minutes, we'll get started here. Deborah Hall, thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. That's super important. Yep, school counselors got to be careful. Substitute, oh my goodness. Extremely worried in Kentucky, especially what happened in Louisville. Houston's on fire. I'm in Houston. My kid's not going back. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the science. We're going to take the emotion out of it. Sue Corbett, what's up, Minnesota? Be careful. Massachusetts, get ready for the second wave up north there. I know, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, here comes the second wave. Susie, what's up? How's it going? Phoenix, Kim, that's tough, man. It's going to be tough. All right. There we go. All right, excellent. Thank you for hitting share, everybody. We'll get started right now. Wait, hold on, let me get Illinois in the house. Excellent. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Duck Vong, world famous bariatric surgeon, author of 13 books. We're going to have a very controversial topic today. We're going to talk about schools reopening during this coronavirus pandemic, and if that's a good idea, if we should be doing it or not. So do me a favor, hit play, tag somebody. It's super important we get this information out to everybody. I appreciate that. And as always, this is a new kind of COVID community we agreed to start. So no trolls, no political commentary. The virus does not care if you're a blue state or a red state, does not care if you're conservative, or does not care if you're liberal, does not care about your religion preferences, does not care about your color. All right. We're talking about our kids here. Even if you don't have kids, you are somebody's kid. And and most likely you have nieces and nephews. And what you're going to see is a huge amount of concern and problems. All right. So what we need to do is share this information, because this is going to affect everybody we know: nieces, nephews, grandbabies, granddaughters, all that sort of stuff, right? And we also have friends and loved ones who are teachers and professors and who might be really concerned about what's going to happen this fall. And so this is a very timely video. I promise, because okay, I promise, because we're talking about our kids, I will not use a single curse word. Okay, I won't. And I'll also put this up on YouTube. You might know me from my coronavirus video when I said this is how coronavirus is going to kill you. It got 16 million views. It also got a lot of hate, which is fine. But here we are. Today is July 26th. In America alone, we're over 146,000 deaths. We are over 1,100 deaths a day. We lead the world in coronavirus numbers, 4.1 million. The world has 16 million cases, has over 600,000 deaths worldwide. And so this is a serious problem, right? Really serious problem. A lot of countries have reopened, and we're going to talk about this. Yet America is going to start rolling back. I said earlier last week that you're going to see an about face from our current administration, which then they started doing. They started promoting masks. They started talking they canceled their mass gatherings indoors, and now you're seeing a major about face, because what we've been doing, shit hasn't been working. Oh, dang it! I'm sorry about that. It's not working. So we got a new thing. So recently, there's been a letter of over 500 influential healthcare experts who've all signed a letter to our current White House administration, asking them to roll back, to go back into a nationwide shutdown. Nationwide shutdown. Over 500 health experts have petitioned the White House to go back to a nationwide shutdown. So that's what we're facing. We'll see how they will respond. But I want to talk about the kids now, and I wanted to do it in a very unemotional way. Okay? So here's tip number one. If you are in a hotspot currently, if you're in a current hotspot, opening up schools for on-site schools is really stupid. I'm just going to say it like it is. It makes zero sense. Think back to the beginning of the pandemic, back in March, right? And March 11th was when the World Health Organization declared coronavirus a pandemic, a global pandemic. March 12th was when I started paying attention to coronavirus. Shortly thereafter, the NBA season was canceled, baseball seasons, concerts, you started seeing all these things getting canceled. The following week, Broadway was canceled. And then the week after that, schools were canceled, right? You guys remember this? So that by April, pretty much everywhere, the schools were closed and kids were home. And we were scrambling to figure out online learning, okay? At that point, we had roughly, on March 11th, we had 1,000 cases, roughly, in the United States. So by April 1st, we have roughly I can't remember. I can go back and look, but I think, as I recall, about 5,000 cases, right? And we shut down schools. So if it's okay to shut down schools with 5,000 cases, what the heck are we thinking now that it's okay to open up schools when we were having 70,000 cases a day? We opened up our economy too soon, took off. Everybody knows this American story. Now we're starting to hit a plateau. But the plateau is 70,000 cases a day. And somehow that's okay to send back our kids to school. Makes no sense to me. So comment no sense if you understand what I'm saying. It makes no sense to send our kids back to school if we have 70,000 cases. When we shut it down, back when we had a total of 5,000 cases and only a few hundred a day. And somehow we're safe now, opening up at 70,000 cases a day. Comment no sense if that makes no sense to you. And this is way beyond politics. This has nothing to do with if you're a red state, blue state. It makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. Excellent. So, well, everybody agrees, right? And there's some Canadians and some people in Australia watching this, and they're all horrified. They're all like, what are these American people thinking? Why would you open up the school in a hotspot? Now, having said that, there are some areas in the United States, like Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, certain areas of Colorado, where the land is really spread out and you don't have very many cases. So those people are very frustrated. They're saying, we don't have a lot of cases, so why do we need to shut down? Well, my response to that is this. Look at what's happening in the United States. It started up in, I'll do it this way. It started up in the Northeast in New York, New Jersey, and then it spread down, it swung down south. The Midwest, like Nebraska, Tennessee, Kansas, Kentucky, they were all frustrated because they were like, we don't have a lot of cases. Why are we shutting down? Fast forward now, end of July, you have lots of hotspots, flare-ups. They have several cities that are on the warning list. Last Friday, I surprised some people when I said, dude, New Orleans is in trouble again. And everyone's like, New Orleans? I thought New Orleans is good. Look at what's happening in New Orleans. The numbers in Louisiana are really rising rapidly. You got to be really careful. So this wave is coming across. So you might be okay to open up if you're in Wyoming, you're in this little rural town, you only have 10 cases, 20 cases. But I promise you, once you get a case after opening up school, you better have a plan in place. So tip number one, it makes no sense if you're in a hotspot to reopen. Now, luckily, a lot of the city mayors are not taking their direction from the government, and they're saying, dude, we're going all online, all virtual, at least until, the winter's over. We got to get past the holidays. We got to do all that sort of stuff. So that's tip number one, makes no sense. It might make sense if you are in a rural area or an area that doesn't have very many cases, right? Tip number two, right? Here comes tip number two. You better have a very serious plan. You better have, you either need to decide, are you going to follow the CDC guidelines? And yes, I get it. They're just guidelines. Yes, I know they can be hard. Yes, etc. But your independent school district better have a guideline on what they're going to do. They better have a very descriptive plan. Are kids coming 2 days a week, 3 days a week? Are they going to be in these pods? Are they going to be some virtual, some on site? They're doing rotations like that. I'm going to get to the science here behind that here in a second. Okay, I'm going to talk about transmission from kids to grandmas here in a second, so hang with me. But you better have a plan. So what happens if a student gets sick or tests positive versus what happens if a teacher who is 60 years old and gets sick, tests positive, versus a young teacher who's 30 years old and went and had a few drinks at a restaurant with a couple of her close family members and now tests positive. You better, are you going to quarantine the teachers? Who's going to step in? Are you going to have substitute teacher pool? And you never know what's happening there. Does that make sense? So you better have a very clear game plan. And you can't be like, well, we're just going to quarantine them for 14 days. You got to notify, you got to contact trace, right? You have to be in keeping with the authorities to say, hey, this teacher or this coworker or this custodian tested positive, right? And now you have to do contact tracing, et cetera. And I'm about to get into the science of that. And I'm going to share with you a study on actually my screen here on my computer. So hang with me. So you better have a game plan. All right. So to the meat of the matter. One, you got to take all of the emotion out of it. It's our kids. I understand. I get it. We love our kids. We know they need to get into school. We know that they are having social stuff, et cetera. And, there might be, trust me, I'm very into childhood hunger. I know that there are lots of students who don't eat on weekends because they depend on the school meals for their meals. I work with a charity organization my friend Jonathan Stone started to feed hungry kids. So I'm very well aware of that situation. I'm aware of the mental illness. I'm aware about the online bullying, very aware about the other stuff, okay? So tip number 3 real quick. I'm of the opinion that if you have any sort of a moderate to high number of coronavirus cases, you should not open up school. And I will tell you, give you my reasons why. So a big reason why American kids are just unhealthier than the other countries. Okay. They are. Our kids, God bless them, I love them, but we have a major issue with adolescent obesity. If you look at the age demographics of obesity, the largest growing demographic for obesity is adolescents. Yeah, 16 to 20-year-olds. That's the largest percentage growth of obesity. When I was in elementary school back in the 80s, we only had one lady, one of my classmates who was like, I would say, super big. And now all you got to go do is hang out at 2:30 or 3 p.m. when elementary school lets out of school, and you will understand what I'm saying. The obesity rate for our kids is much higher than anywhere else in the world, in Americans. It's just true. We'll get into nutrition and stuff like that later. But so this obesity, as we know, the number one risk factor for poor outcomes with coronavirus is what, guys? It's not age, it's obesity. And we're seeing that. When I started coronavirus videos, I said, listen, you're going to see the age of coronavirus in America drop. Who remembers me saying this, right? And so we're seeing that it's gone from 60. Now the average age for positive tests in America, it's not 60, it's not 50, it's not 45. The average age for testing positive in America is now 41 years old. 41 years old. And that goes most likely from the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds who went to the beaches and the bars and the restaurants. That's dropped that number down, right? So the average age is 41 for positive tests. I'm 47, y'all. This is younger than me. I'm 47. This is crazy. So it's just a matter of time once we start opening up schools, and I'll get to college, high school, etc. But you're going to see that number drop even further into the mid 30s. Trust me, right? You can't have massive school openings and not expect that the average age is going to drop. It will drop. Okay. So our kids are just not that healthy. So some of people don't understand. Oh, we're just chunky. We're just husky. He's just going to outgrow it. She will outgrow it. No, they won't. We have good studies that show if you let an overweight adolescent go into young adulthood as obese, guess what happens? They stay obese most of their lives. We've looked at this. We followed these patients out. So, so they don't outgrow it. They get sick. Now, here's something else is shocking. With this obesity, you are now having kids who are having high blood pressure. So there are kids, like teenagers, with high blood pressure. They take high blood pressure medicine. They have sleep apnea machines. Okay. They have diabetes, type 2, adult onset diabetes. When I was in med school, we talked about juvenile diabetes, which is type 1. We went from the term juvenile diabetes to type 1 diabetes. And type 1 diabetes is usually in younger kids. So when you talk about younger kids having diabetes, you always think about type 1. And type 2 is the older diabetes that grandma and grandpa got, right? No. So you've got this huge population of teenagers as young as 11, 12, 13 years old who are now type 2 diabetics. And what did I talk about the other day? The risk factors for bad outcomes with coronavirus: obesity, high age, which that doesn't apply to these kids, hypertension, which you got, diabetes, which you're getting, and pulmonary lung disease. So what you have is young kids with CPAP machines now at nighttime that embarrasses them. They have bad worsening asthma. They can't run. They have very poor lung performance. So they are at risk. A lot of these kids are at risk. Okay. And you're going to let them back into school, right? Okay, so our kids just are sicker in America. Not everybody, I get it. There are athletic kids, we got ballet kids, we got young skinny girl. Of course we do. But as a general rule, our kids are heavier than most other developed countries. Okay, that causes me a lot of concern. Okay, now, Dr. Vaughn, what about these other the president talks about, I can't believe I actually said his name. The president talks about these other countries that have opened up and they didn't have any problems. Let me respond to that real quick. Well, those other countries weren't in the middle of a freaking pandemic. They had gotten past the first wave. Does that make sense what I'm saying? They didn't reopen school with 70,000 freaking cases. See, I almost said fucking. See, I'm getting better. It's ridiculousness, right? They didn't open schools. Like, this is stupid. Like, what the hell? Oh, but this country opened it up and they're doing really well. Well, that's because they got past the first wave. We haven't even gotten past the first wave. And now you're saying it's okay to open with 70,000 cases a day? This is lunacy. You're comparing us to a country that is getting 100 cases a day, and now they're opening up schools very slowly and very cautiously with a well-developed plan? Come on, this is stupid. A lesson that you can learn is with Israel. Israel reopened schools, and guess what happened? They had to shut it back down. They opened up schools too soon, and now they're having also another resurgence. And they've gone back to closing down their schools. So don't fall into this politics when they're like, these other countries are opening up. These other countries got past the first wave. We can't get our shit together, so we're not past the first wave. We have more cases now than ever. Well, why did they shut down the country? Yeah, we're starting all over again, guys. We're worse off now than we were when we first shut down. Sorry, that's what happens when you get mask holes and you get into politics. Oh, I'm not being very good. I said I was going to be good. Let me get into the science behind this and why this is stupid. The administration, Dr. Vaughn, isn't it true that kids don't pass the virus like other countries, like we thought? Isn't it true that they're not the source? That's what the White House is saying. The White House is saying that kids aren't the source of transmission. Not true. Pay attention right now. Hit share real quick. I'm about to show you the science behind this. Here we go. What the White House administration is pointing to is, first of all, a study from Switzerland back in April. And we know what's happened since April, that involved 34 kids. You can't draw any freaking conclusions from 34 kids. And back in April, from Switzerland, there wasn't that many cases yet. Okay? So it just hadn't had time to tease it out. And what they said in that article was that, yeah, it doesn't look like the kids are the primary vectors for this. Well, first of all, schools were shut down. They were isolating. So they're not seeing parents, grandparents, etc. It's only 34 kids. You can't draw conclusions from a study like that. So then the White House gets a hold of that paper and says, see, kids don't transmit it. News outlets pick it up, etc. Well, guess what? You go back and look at that study, and they publish at the very bottom. This is a preliminary study. It hasn't been looked at. It hasn't been analyzed. It hasn't been peer reviewed. And yet this is what's called science. When you publish a study, you have to give it time to be peer reviewed and looked at, right? Before you can draw any sort of conclusions. Yet we've got people running around saying kids don't pass this. So let me share with you my screen. Let me show you a better study. All right, pay attention now. Okay, pay attention. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. Can y'all see this? This is from the New England Journal of Medicine, published July 19th, 2020. Okay. Transmission from older kids. That's the one we're talking about here. So watch this. Children aged 10 to 19 years might spread SARS-CoV-2 to household members more readily than adults, a study from Emerging Infectious Diseases suggests. Now watch this. Researchers in South Korea, we can believe South Korea, because they're one of the first ones to crush down the virus, followed nearly 60,000 contacts of 5,700 COVID-19 patients. So you went from 34 studies, that's the one the White House uses, to now a study with 5,700 COVID-19 patients. That's a big number. And they followed 60,000 contacts for 10 days. But here's the good news. Watch this. Some 12% of household contacts were infected versus 2% of non-household contacts. So you're more likely to catch it from your household than outside, okay? But having said that, and that's the other journal of medicine that the mask holes like say, oh, look, you know, and they'll put this New England Journal of Medicine that says, you know, mask, like transmission is not that bad outside. This is this number. But you're more likely to get it from in the house, but it's only 12%. So just because somebody in your household catches it, it's not 100% guarantee that you're going to catch it. Okay. But here's what the key. When you index the patient age 10 to 19 years, can y'all see this? 10 to 19 years. I wonder if I can make this larger. Let me see. There you go. Is that better? Okay. When the index patient was 10 to 19 years, 19% of household contacts were infected versus when the index was 30 to 49, it was only 12%. And the index patient 0 to 9 years, just 5% of household contacts were infected. These authors write, these risks largely reflected transmission in the middle of mitigation. See, you're in the middle of mitigation, and therefore might not characterize transmission dynamics during school closure. So, of note, they acknowledge they could not determine the direction of transmission. Okay, so let me explain to you what that means. Okay, they did this study, they looked at it during mitigation. Schools were shut down. So they said, we can't project what's going to happen. It could absolutely change once schools are open. But schools are shut down. People are isolated at home. We have good data following 5,700 patients that kids age 10 to 19 have way more transmission than adults. The young kids 0 to 5 years old had way less transmission. Why? We're not sure, but it could be isolation. We are very protective of our young kids. We don't let the newborn baby go see grandma and grandpa, did we? No, we did not. You had to see, come on, comment if you had a baby, a new grandbaby, anything like that, and you couldn't see the grandbaby, you couldn't see the 1-year-old, the 2-year-old, except through Zoom or through a window or through a glass screen door. You didn't hold your grandbaby back in April or May, did you? No, we are hyper protective of our 1 and 2-year-olds and young kids. We are less protective of our 10 to 19-year-olds because they need to get out. They're riding their bikes. They have a little friend next door that you guys agree that we're going to kind of hang out together so they can play. They have siblings. They're more likely to touch stuff, get into things, climb jungle gyms, share toys, play with dollies, you know, that sort of stuff. During mitigation. Does this make sense what I'm saying? Any ahas? Give me an aha if that science just made sense to you, what I just showed you. So now when you open schools, you're going to have a huge cluster F. Okay. See, there we go. Couldn't see your grandbabies. Ahas. Still haven't seen my grandbaby, 6 weeks old. See? Ahas. Makes sense. You guys getting it? Okay. So that's during mitigation. Now, what happens if we're going to open up schools? Well, the 0 to 5 years old don't matter. They're usually preschool, pre-K. They're going to stay home anyway. And most parents No, like I have a 4-year-old daughter. We got her enrolled for pre-K for August in Houston, and her mom and I said, nope, ain't gonna do it. So we rolled it back. We are gonna homeschool. Now, most parents don't mind homeschooling 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids who all they're doing is basic math, addition, subtraction, learning their ABCs. We don't mind watching them color. We don't mind showing them, taking them outside, turning over rocks, looking at snails, doing little science experiments. They're easy at that age. Plus, they'll take a 2-hour nap. Elementary school for kids only goes to 2 most of the time anyway, right? So it's not a full term. But 10 to 19-year-old, now you're talking about algebra. Not every parent remembers algebra, pre-algebra, pre-calculus. My 14-year-old, is doing pretty advanced math. She was in 8th grade last year, and I was like, dude, this math is hard. She's taking SAT prep courses, So now you're talking 10 to 19. So 14, 15, 16-year-olds, dude, most parents don't want to, make them sit there and read Wuthering Heights and War and Peace and doing their English assignments and their history assignments and their geography and geometry and algebra and calculus. And that gets a lot harder. So, but at that age, who remembers being a teenager? Invincible. Can't tell me what to do. I won't catch it. 16, 17, 18 years old. But we know from that study, even during mitigation, they were the ones most likely to transmit it at home. 10 to 19-year-olds are the ones most likely to transmit it within the home. So now you open up school for the middle agers, 10 to 19-year-olds. That would be middle school to high school. Now they're the number one transmission, not adults. Okay, the younger kids. So elementary schools. So let's break this up. Elementary, middle, college. Elementary school kids. Who's at risk here? That's right. It's the teachers. It's the teachers. These little kids, they'll behave. Of course, they put a few things in their mouths, but for the most part, it's pretty limited. They can crayon. They'll wear their mask. The social distancing, they get it. You can have little protection pods. I get it. Okay. Maybe you might have a little bit more trouble if they're playing outside, but you can minimize it with maybe only 5 kids at recess at a time, not the whole classroom, right? They're looking at this sort of stuff. So 0 to 5 is pretty easy, pre-K, kindergarten, maybe even 1st grade, pretty easy. But by the time you're talking middle school, high school, I'm going to kind of group those together. We know risky behavior in high school. You know what I'm talking about. Kids in high school, invincible, stubborn, won't listen, hormones going crazy. There's going to be very hard. People are like, how are you going to get little kids to social distance? Don't worry about the little kids, man. Worry about the junior high and high school kids. Those people, man, they don't like the social distance. They don't like to wear masks. They like to give hugs. They like to kind of explore body parts. I'm just saying. I was a teenager once. Okay, they like to share cigarettes. They like to backwash beer bottles, right? Just keeping it real. They like to try on each other's clothes. They like to borrow books and pens. They like to go cruising together. 6 kids. Man, it's only 4 of us in a car. Mom, Dad, we can socially distance. There's only 4 of us in a car. And they'll beat you down. Eventually, Mom, Dad goes, okay, as long as you keep it to just these little friends. Dude, you open up school, middle school, high school, it's going to be a disaster. Okay. So now who's at risk? Middle school, high school. Students will be at risk. Teachers will be at risk. Workers will be at risk. And home people, home life. You're going to have generations living at home. I talked about this the other day. The economy is going to go away. 30% of people did not pay their rent in July. 30% of people did not pay their rent in July. Is this crazy or what? So the $600 stimulus is about to end. The protection for rents is about to end. The mortgages protection is about to end. So this next week, it just ended. So this next week, court evictions are going to start, and they're going to be online. They're going to do a Zoom call. and landlords get to do their 3-day warnings of, here's your warning, you got to pay. Some people are 3, 4, 5, 6 months back behind a rent. So you're going to kick out grandmother. She's going to move back to stay with her kids. Or the kids, the husband and wife with their 2 or 3 kids get evicted from their rental house. Now they're moving back in with mom and dad. And now you're going to put that 8th grader, 9th grader into school, going to come back and affect grandma, grandpa. Does that make sense? Middle school, high school, man, it's going to be a huge transmission factor. Let's get to college real quick, and then I want to come back down to middle school, high school. So college campuses, most of them have said they're going to remain online. Some of them are trying to do on-campus distancing, no mass gatherings. The NCAA, the college sports have canceled the season. They're looking at retrofitting dorms. They're talking about putting kids in hotel rooms. They're worried about the college life. But you know what happens in college, man? Once weekends come, man, kids go crazy. College towns, etc. And then there's also this concern about college kids traveling back home during breaks, Thanksgiving, holidays. So school administrators are thinking stuff like, well, maybe we need to end the semester before Thanksgiving. So there's no Thanksgiving and then winter break. I mean, we just have to crunch down the time. I don't know. Colleges, this is a major thing. First of all, a lot of colleges are out of business. They don't have the financial infrastructure to deal with this. A lot of little colleges are out of business. You just don't know it yet. But I promise you, they are. Okay, so we have these travel issues with these young adults and their 18, 19, 20-year-old going to colleges, going back and forth. But they're more of the adult population, right? But travel, airplane, car rides, transmission, they often go to school out of state or in a different city. Maybe they live in New Jersey, but they go to school in New York City. Here comes the second wave. Here comes the second wave in November that Dr. V talked about. Okay, so let's go back to the high school kids and the junior high kids. This is the biggest factor. Okay, we have already seen reports. This little school district in Tennessee that was one of the first ones to open up. They just had their first positive case this week. They haven't said if it's a student or a teacher or a worker, but they said they have their first positive test. Now what you going to do? It's going to be a hot mess. It's going to be a hot mess. Okay. So that's the science behind that, right? What you guys will see, because this is called science, when the schools that do open, because there will be some, then you're going to start seeing scientists and papers coming in following, hopefully like South Korea, freaking 5,700 patients, 60,000 contact members, right? Now we can really see the picture. We might have to see it from Italy and France, where they're opening up schools again, Canada, Australia, right? They're starting to open up schools again. And we're going to have to trace these cases out to see what's the transmission factor, what's going to happen. But the U.S. shouldn't be doing any fucking shit like that. The U.S. needs to be like, shut the fuck down. Everything needs to shut down. I said that back in June. If you were in my challenge group, comment. If you're in my challenge group, I have this monthly challenge group, and I only open up at the end of the month, which is this week. And I've been preparing the people in my challenge group to get healthier, to get fit. We're doing weekend exercises. We're doing nutritional classes. We're doing weight loss things where we're challenging them to get healthy. And I've been telling them since May that all the stuff in disaster. If you're in my challenge group, comment if that's what we've been doing. Say, just put challenge in the challenge group if we've been working on coronavirus ever since April, May, June, getting healthier. And I've been preparing them, talking about school, talking about how they need to isolate. You might see them hearing that they're a founder. That's what it means to be in the challenge, right? So we've been prepping them, right? Yes. See all this challenge? Yep. We've been doing all this in the challenge. Oops, where'd it go? Okay. Oh, gosh darn it. Yep, here you go. Dr. B has been telling us the whole time. Okay. It's a safe place for me because I didn't have any haters. I could just really prepare the people who are ready to listen. Okay. So, and I've been saying we should have shut back down back in June. Fast forward 2 more months, right? July, we're coming up to August now, and we're now just we just, I don't know why we can't shut it back down at least in the southern states where we're on fire. Why are we even having a debate about opening up school? It's ridiculous, right? It's completely ridiculous. So let me summarize for you real quick. Number one, our kids are just not that healthy. We play a lot of video games. We have obesity in our kids. We don't give them good nutrition. So if you don't have good nutrition, you don't have the immune support to fight off viruses. You know that, right? So you're drinking sodas, chips, cookies. Here's something ridiculous that maybe other people in other countries don't know. Did you realize that in the United States, we consider pizza a vegetable? It's counted. Pizza is counted as a vegetable. Ketchup is considered a vegetable. So if your school says, "Hey, we make your kids have 3 servings of vegetables a day," that's pizza. They're talking about pizza and spaghetti sauce. That's ridiculous. We have vending machines with snacks, sodas, Cokes, things like that. Ridiculous. We don't have the nutritional support for our kids. They have comorbidities like diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea. They don't have good lung endurance. They can't run as well. I'm not trying to shame you. Dr. Vuong, you're shaming kids. No, I'm not. This is just the effing truth. Okay? Number 2, the studies do show the kids that are 10 to 19 years old are the highest ones that transmit the virus. It's not adults. It's the 10 to 19-year-old kids in homes that transmitted the virus the most, not out in public. Dr. Vuong, does that mean we can go out in public? Well, if you face mask and social distance and use your gloves and wash your hands and do all the shit you're supposed to, limit your outings to the grocery store. Don't be sitting there, at a bar talking this close to some chica, some dude, because you're trying to get you some strange on the side. Come on now. You guys didn't think Dr. V knew what strange on the side meant, did you? Dr. V's hip. Strange on the side is when you're cheating on your spouse, by the way, in case you're wondering, right? My husband's always on a business trip. And then you find out, damn, he has a whole nother family in that city. I know I pick on husbands, but wives do that shit too. Okay, so if you're just outside and you go get your necessary supplies, you're wearing your mask, and if you're in a hot zone, listen to me. If you're in a hot zone, you need to wear a mask and a face shield. And if you want, you can have gloves. I don't think gloves make a big difference, but you got to dispose of them before you go into your house. You have to have the sanitizer in your car. Wipe that down. You got to have wipes. Wipe down your steering wheel. Wipe off the back of your phone. Don't forget your phone, right? And wipe. And the second you get in your house, you got to wash down. And that means you're not lollygagging around outside. That's low transmission, of course. But Dr. Vuong, that means you should open the businesses. No, that means it's okay for you to go outside, to go to the park, and to go hiking, to go walk the trails. It doesn't mean that Dr. Vuong says the transmission is mostly in-house, not outside. No, that doesn't mean if you go to a restaurant or bar, that's a different study. We know if you do a study of restaurants and bars, enclosed inside areas where people are close together talking is the #1 place. So outside of the house, even more than the house are restaurants and bars and closed events like churches. And I hate that, but it's just true. This talk's on a Sunday. But indoor closed mass gatherings where people are talking, yelling, singing, rallying, that's where the highest risk for transmission is. Outside of that, it's home. Being outdoors is fine. Protesting is inconclusive, so let's not go there. I can do a whole nother thing on protesting, right? I wouldn't go to protesting, not because I have anything against the movements. I mean, I'm all for the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm all for the gay rights movement. I'm all for that sort of stuff. What I'm not for is getting shot. Getting shot with bullets, rubber bullets, or real bullets, or accidentally went off. I ain't putting myself there. I don't care. Sorry. Staying my ass at home, hiking, camping, coloring with my 4-year-old, showing her how to do ABCs. My 14-year-old is writing reports and studies on our little camping trip we're about to do, reports on Yellowstone, reports on Mount Rushmore. We're doing, she has her online math class, all sorts of stuff. Okay. So where there's a will, there's a way, but you got to take the emotions out of it. And it's hard because it's our kids, and our kids are very emotional. It really brings us out the most of us. And listen to me, I'm going to speak to the moms and dads right now. What you're feeling is fear. That's the anxiety. See, Dr. Vuong, I have a lot of stress about this. I have a lot of anxiety. No, what you're feeling is fear, hon. What you're feeling is fear. You have bad guidance. You have, Uncle Billy, Aunt Sally saying this. You got White House saying this. You got doctors saying this. You got coworkers saying this. You got your cousin saying this. You got grandma trying to recover from possible coronavirus. Don't understand if it was a heart attack. Conspiracy theories. You got Facebook saying this. I get it. You're afraid. Maybe this is the one place that you can trust, and maybe you can maybe I can break it down and you can understand it, right? No doubt about it. South Korean paper says #1 transmission is age 10 to 19 in your house, and that's during a shutdown and mitigation. When it goes back to school, it's going to get worse. They're going to be the primary vectors. It's exactly what Fauci has been saying the whole freaking time, right? He just doesn't, he just can't sit there and use the F-bomb like I can. He's got bosses. He's got professionalism. I ain't got any of that shit. I'll just lay it down, smack down on you, man, right? But what you're feeling is fear. Now, having said that, there are ways around it. So I want to take the last 5 minutes and talk to the parents, and then I'll take your questions, right? Go to the dollar store. I'm shocked. Dr. Vuong, budget's tight. Go to the dollar store. They have lots of books, shockingly, really good numbers, letters, ABCs, preschool, 3 to 4-year-old, 5, 6-year-old, 7 to 8-year-old, like workbooks for $1. Flashcard, memory cards, everything's $1. Buy, stock up on a bunch of that, pool your money, get together with a few moms. Okay. If you're a teacher and you're nervous, okay, and you don't want to go back, dude, just tell your school you're not going to go back, and get 5 or 6 or 10 kids that you say, hey, y'all need to get tested, and then have them bring them to your house or backyard, or rent a space or something like that, or outside picnic, outdoor school, and say, hey, mom, dad, drop them off at 9, pick them up at 2. I'll give them lunch. It costs $50 a kid. I can do after school from 2 to 4, and that costs $20 extra or $30 extra. Dude, you can do these little kid pods at home. Okay. If you're a teacher, you don't even have to be a teacher. You can just be a cool mom or a cool dude. You could be the fun mom that has all the crafts at home, and you can have a craft day and a craft thing, right? If you're going to do it for your kid, you might as well do it for other kids. Okay. Now the higher kids, some kids need college prep, need calculus tutoring, need foreign language tutoring. Dude, this is a killer time. Open up your Zoom. Create a website, a landing page, tell your friends and loved ones. You can teach anybody all over the world. If you're a parent, sign the kid up for that sort of coaching, online coaching. People are doing it all the time. Where there's a will, there's a way. Next number. If you happen to be one of these families that are multi-generational, 3 or 4 generations under one roof, dude, this is grandma's dream. This is grandmother's dream to get to play with the kids. right? Grandma's frustrated because you won't take away their phone. You won't take away the Nintendo or the PlayStation. So the kids don't listen to grandma. Well, it's time. Say, hey, listen, this is a new world order. This is a whole new thing. We got to get our shit together, man. We got to rally together as a family. Forget the country, forget the community, just as our family. We got to get together as a unit. We got to come through this, okay? We need everybody to buy in. That's how we're going to do it. Then you have your family together. Hopefully your neighbor has their family together, and hopefully their neighbor have their family together. And now you have a community. Now the community has a voice, leadership, etc. Then you maybe have a small town or a city or a neighborhood block or something like that. And that's how you grow. We're going to overcome this through community. We're not going to overcome this. Mark my words. Someone put community in the comments section. We're going to get over this through community. We're not going to get through this through politics or governance or martial law. It's community. Community is the answer. So put community in the comments section here. So Troy Davis says, amen, doctor. That's right. Special ed teacher, man, if you're a special ed teacher right now, you're going to rock it, dude. Because all these kids, they need this sort of help. Totally. See, it's a community basis. We can't wait for our government to act. We got to come together. Look at this, man. Love this COVID community. How amazing are y'all? Y'all rock my world, Irene. Nan, look at that community. Excellent. Anna, oh, man, too much. Okay. So moms and dads, you guys will get through it. Dads, you know, we have a special role. We also need to step up. We need to spend that time and read to the kids. We need to, help the kids with their reading assignments and their math assignments. I'm talking to the dads now. Dads, I get it. It sucks. Maybe you've been furloughed. Maybe you are, if you're one of the lucky ones who have been collecting unemployment, you should have been doing a part-time job. That's what my dad did. See, you guys are confused. You think I'm an American. No, I'm an immigrant. I am an American citizen now, but I'm an immigrant. I wasn't born in the United States. I came over with my dad. He was 36. I was 6. We're one of the refugee boat people from the Vietnam War. Who remembers the refugee boat people? That's me. I spent 6 months in a refugee camp. Came over to the United States when I was 6 years old with my dad, and he was 36. We couldn't speak the language. He didn't know anybody. I don't know what happened once we got out of the refugee camp, got on a plane, came to America, landed in Houston. I don't know how we made it through the night. I don't know where we went. I was too young to ask, right? But we didn't know anybody. We couldn't speak English. We didn't know a stop sign from a go sign. You know, by the way, there's no such thing as a go sign, in case you're wondering. That's probably why Asians are such bad drivers. I can say that because I'm Asian. You get it? But, we can speak the language. Even if there was a go sign, we can't speak the language. But check this shit out. In 16 short years, my dad, at the age of 52 from 36, he retired independently wealthy. He retired because he had 30 rental homes. He retired because he helped people. He gave them affordable housing. He kept the houses well maintained and clean, and repaired toilets when they broke down, and sinks when they clogged. He didn't put it off for weeks and months. He took care of his tenants, and they took care of him. And in 12 years, he was able to retire at the age of 52. Most Americans can't retire at the age of 67. So why am I telling you this? Because I am the American dream. You're talking about, America, coronavirus, our kids. Why can't we overcome this, Dr. V? Why won't this work? We can. I'm the living example of it. We've just been divided by our politics. And now who's hurting? It's our kids. Our kids are hurting, right? So back to the dads. My dad, he got a job in a plant, and he worked there all day long. And then in the evenings, he came home, he cooked us food and dinner. And then he went out and mowed yards. He mowed yards for years until he saved up, and he didn't spend it. He kept that money, he saved it, and he bought a house. Guess how much his first house he bought was back in, this would have been 1982 or something like that. $4,000. It was a rundown piece of shit house in the worst part of Longview, Texas, right? That's what I'm talking about, man. So we can do it. If my dad can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it, right? We can all do this. We can all pivot. We have to. Our future's at stake. And remember what I said. This is just the beginning. We're not towards the end. We're not in the middle. I mean, this is just beginning. The Spanish flu, 1917, 18, 19, lasted 3 years. We haven't even gotten over the first wave. You know, we're still going. We can do this. So I don't understand why we can't get past our politics and what's happening. Thank you guys for all the kind words about my dad, you know, and protect our kids and our schools. So if you've enjoyed this, if you found this helpful, please hit share this video. If you're watching this on my Facebook fan page, please hit like and follow. And so I'm trying to do coronavirus every day. So keep you guys encouraged. Yeah. This is still the first wave. We are still in the first wave. Absolutely right. Yeah, it's a great study. It's much better than the one our White House keeps talking about, right? Thank you for listening to my dad's story. Appreciate that. Now here, while you guys are watching, there are some problems. We got to be able to have proper testing and tracing. We don't have that yet, right? I'm actually in talks with a company about testing, COVID testing, right? They have this product. It's a rapid test. It is, you do it from home. It's a little finger prick, just like diabetes tests. You know how your mom or grandma, maybe you have to prick your finger every day for blood sugars. It's the same thing. It's a little finger prick. It's a blood test, and you put it on a little cassette, and you put a little solution on it, and in 15 minutes, right there, it gives you the answer, whether or not you're actively infected or you've been infected in the past. It'll tell you if you have IgG or IgM antibodies. This is an antibody test, and you do it from home. And this company says, Dr. V, you're doing these coronavirus videos. You had this one YouTube video get 16 million views. What's your take on this product? What do you think? And I'm like, dude, this could be a game changer. Hey, put test in the comment section if you'd be interested in having one of these tests. I don't know, because I think it's needed, because I'm sitting here thinking about, they're shutting down testing facilities, right? Because have you heard about people dying waiting in the heat? This nursing home person died because their car got overheated waiting for a COVID test. My friends and family have had to wait 3 to 6 hours for testing. They're waiting 3, 4, 5, 7, 14 days for a test. You realize if you get coronavirus tested and they don't get you the results back right away, it's useless, because you could have contracted it. If they don't give that test back to you within 48, 2 or 3 days, it's useless. Why are we having the average of 7 days? There is no point. You could have totally contracted it in the meantime. You could have totally gotten something else. Does that make sense what I'm saying? There's no point, right? So if you're interested in a rapid test that you would take from home, let me know. I'll probably try to get them to set something up for my following. It makes sense. You could now let me give you another example, right? Let's say you're this mom and you like my idea about having 5 or 6 kids come over. All you gotta do is give them a little rapid test. This little finger prick, dink, test it, or have their moms and parents test it, bring over the cassette, see they're negative. Now you know everybody in that is negative. Everybody in your pod is negative. Imagine if you're at home and you haven't seen grandmother and grandma hasn't seen your grandbabies. You test yourself, say, hey, we want to go over on Saturday. So right before you go over, you test yourself, you test the 2 grandbabies, and let's say, hey, we're negative. So now you get to go over to grandma's house, family reunion, get together, dinner, whatever it is. You test grandma, she's negative, we're all good. So now you can have friends and family over now. As long as everyone gets that 15-minute rapid test, you do it in your car. Do it in your car before you come in. Wait out in your car 15 minutes or prick your finger, test it, and now drive to grandma and grandpa's who live 10 minutes down the road. And now you have your result right when you pull up. We're negative. Or, oops, we're positive, turn back around. But now you know for sure. This rapid test could be a game changer. Put test if you think that's helpful. 97% accurate, by the way. Okay, these nasal swabs, the ones that people are sitting around for 6 hours on, waiting for, They're 70% accurate. 70% accurate. 30% false negative, false positive too. We can talk about testing here later, right? This test is 97% accurate. And they're like, Dr. V, can you help us roll this out? And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, yeah, but I don't want my following to think I'm selling or that I'm trying to take advantage of the situation. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Because we got to get over this. I'm going to have to hire a warehouse, a factory. And I've never done this. I'm a surgeon. I've never done this, but I'm going to have to hire a warehouse. I'm going to have to figure out how to ship it. Because I'm expecting you guys to like go, Doc, we'll buy 1,000. We'll buy 2,000. Yeah, I want 5 for my family. I want whatever. I'm like, dude, this could be a game changer, because this could help us get past this sooner if we actually know who to isolate. If we know, does that make sense what I'm saying? Right? It's the only answer, right? And you can't wait for the government to do it. You can't sit 3 hours in line for a 70% accurate nose test that they don't get you in days. That makes 0 sense. You completely wasted your 6 hours sitting in the car if they can't give you the results back in 2 or 3 days. Does that make sense? You totally wasted it. There was no point in doing it. And that's where we are. We're at 7 to 14 days results. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, you can't do that. It's crazy. I went too long. Sorry. Kids, schools. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate y'all. I am going to be back again tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be on the road. Shoot, tomorrow night. So, and I'll talk about testing. Let's talk about testing. You want to do testing tomorrow night? Or do you want to do something else? And let me know. I'll do a poll. Please hit share if this has been helpful. Please tag somebody for me if that makes sense. Please start telling people that I'm interested in doing this rapid test that gives you results in 15 minutes that you do at home, that little finger prick. Please start telling people. I'm going to work on it. If I get enough positive comments, I'll go rent a warehouse. I guess I'll go get a shipping manufacturing thing or something. I'll figure it out. I got to go big, go big or go home, because this is millions of cases. Go watch my herd immunity video. 230 million people would have to be tested for us to have herd immunity. Does that have to be exposed, right? So we're not even anywhere near testing. Trust me, right? Okay, love you guys. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for tagging. And I will see you tomorrow's Monday. I'll be driving. I'll do a coronavirus tomorrow evening. Okay? So until then, peace out. Talk to you later. Bye.